Good morning and welcome to Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I am Susan Alexander, your pastoral associate today. Thank you all for joining us. In a moment, we will turn around and greet those joining us online. Those of you joining us online via Zoom might want to turn your cameras on so that we may see you and greet you. So let's all turn around and say hello. Good morning. It takes a lot of people to get a service together. We extend our gratitude to our music director, Chris Tackett, the people in our sound booth, Ann Tatum, Vince Sensky, Lee McNeely, Todd McNeely, and our minister, Matthew Funkcrary. We also are grateful to our greeter and hospitality crew, our song leader, Joel Yeland, and our director of religious education, Stacy Sosa. This month we have been talking about gratitude. It occurs to me that gratitude is like dropping a stone into a pond. There's a ripple effect. For instance, 2014 was my personal year of hell. I had 12 surgeries that year, and I was very ill for a long time. It's much more amusing in retrospect than it was at the time. By the way, this body is $1 million body. I was so grateful to all the doctors and medical professionals who were invested in my survival that after my recovery, I immediately donated my body to the medical school at the University of Minnesota. This reminds me of a memorial service I attended for a coworker's wife. She had also donated her body. I said to her husband that I heard that they didn't take just any body. He said, "Well, you have to be dead." I also looked into donating my kidneys, bone marrow, and blood. What other body parts could I give away while I was alive? So when you feel gratitude, particularly towards another person or institution, you can act on that gratitude. Give them a call, send them a postcard. "Hello, I'm thinking of you." In the words of Eileen Caddy, spiritual teacher and author, gratitude helps you to grow and expand. Gratitude brings joy and laughter into your life and into the lives of others. Let it be so. In gratitude, we commit ourselves to open-hearted engagement, courageous love, inspiring transformation. Our mission at MVUU is to build an open-hearted, welcoming community where our work together in covenant to transform ourselves and our world through love. Together, we will nurture our Unitarian Universalist faith identity, teach it to our children, and live it courageously in the world. Create space and support to develop authentic connections to each other's lives. We will give and receive care to and from one another, risk vulnerability to create covenantal relationships across all kinds of difference within the church and beyond its walls. We will bring more love and justice to the world in covenant with impacted people. We will develop life-sustaining spiritual practices. We light our celebration chalice for those great moments in the life of those of our congregation. It is our pause to recognize beginnings and endings, peak moments and deep thoughts as they occur to individuals among us.
And today we'll be lighting our celebration chalice for John Wilcox. John died last Tuesday evening at his home with his family beside him. John was a Unitarian Universalist for over 60 years. He and his wife Helen, who passed in 2015, were active in a variety of congregations as they lived in different places. Retiring here to the Sonoran Desert, they became charter members of this congregation. And after Helen's death, John joined Borderlands Unitarian Universalist congregation, where I happened to be serving. And so when I was called here, John returned home, rejoining Mountain Vista a year ago in October. So if you knew him, and many of you knew him from his long service in this congregation, and many of you knew him when he rejoined last year, then you know that John was not being fickle. That's not like him. He held great conviction and curiosity about how we live our faith. A few years ago, he wrote to me that he'd incorporated a practice, one that I teach, about gratitude. The taking of 10 breaths and just welcoming gratitude, the thoughts and feelings that come into your body sometime during your day. He'd added it to his daily routine, but he wrote me, I find after a few moments that my thoughts about gratitude are brief and fleeting. Have you discussed developing an attitude of gratitude in a sermon? And I had, so I sent it to him, and continued then to practice breathing with John every day until this last week. Like many of you, I'm sad. I'm going to miss him. But I'm not sad for him. Just a few months ago, he told me I'm ready to go and to be as Helen has been, whatever that means. So I'm sad for myself. I'm sad for our congregation's loss, for his sons, Jim and David and Mark, and for their family. We are planning a memorial for John, and we'll share the details as soon as we have them. But until then, if you think of John, if you feel his loss, pause whenever and wherever you are and just breathe in and out 10 times and feel the gratitude. Gratitude for his life and his love being a part of yours. Our opening hymn is O Liberating Rose. Joel will be leading us. And so I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join your voices together. The words will be projected.
present age. Your dancing dreams of liberty could challenge each indignity. You sign the whole and faith of life. Oh, liberating song, whose echo now we sing. Your lyrics swelling line rekindles, strengthening. Your harmonies portray the time when seeds we sow shall bloom sublime. You sign the whole and hope of life. Oh, liberating love, we hear you in our sigh. We glimpse you when we see your wet or weary eye. Touch you when our hands extend to soothe or to embrace a friend. You sign the whole and source of life.
Please be seated. I invite you now to a time of contemplation, of considering, pondering, gratitude, thankfulness, appreciation as the hallmarks of our living tradition. Gratitude, however, is not explicitly named as a core value of Unitarian Universalism. And you won't find thankfulness in the Unitarian Universalist Association's literature, nor is appreciation expressed overtly in its media, online or otherwise. And so how is it that gratitude is a part of our religion the way that love is a part of Christianity, obedience is to Judaism, or submission to peace is to Islam? Now, if you look, what you will find in our Unitarian Universalism overtly is a claim to being a living tradition. By this we mean that we have set aside dogma and creed and seek a faith together that is alive in our hearts and in our minds, in our bodies, in our spirits right now, right now. And we share it. We share it here. We share it out there in the way that we live. It's akin to being given a rosebud by those who trust that you will tend it and that in time you'll help it bloom and then pass it on to someone else. Ours is a religion that trusts us to bring it to life through our own lives. Think of that. And what's in your heart and your mind, what you're feeling in your body right now, in your spirit. That's vital. That's important. And then we use a tool we call covenant to guide our interactions so that we can share and help one another bloom. Here at Mountain Vista, we choose to state it this way: in gratitude, we commit ourselves to open-hearted engagement, courageous love, and inspiring transformation. It's our way to name the purposeful work that we've chosen for ourselves and recognize that in all we do, we are grateful. Thankful for a faith that trusts us. Grateful for each and all bringing their own lives to share. And appreciative for the work, the real work that is so necessary in our world today of engagement and love and transformation of blooming, of your blooming, of our blooming, of the world blossoming and blooming. Individually, a community, and a world. And so may it be, not because we are told that it must be, but because we choose it. We choose it now and together and for all the days to come. I invite you now to a time of meditation, a pause. A pause, perhaps the only one that you take in your week to breathe. So just breathe. Center yourself. Here and now. Feel this place and this people and the tender care that we offer. Bring what is alive in you and important to you here. Bring all that is meaningful, the beginnings and the endings, the peak moments and deep troughs, the delights, the joys. Bring to your fears and the injustice that you know. Bring them. We journey together through them all. The Reverend Elizabeth Wen teaches with her words and, more importantly, with her actions that our living faith is a journey to transform. She says, as Unitarian Universalists, our journey is to transform the big and the small, to transform ourselves, to transform our world. Our heritage and living tradition means that no one is outside the circle of love. No one is disposable. We stubbornly seek out that spark of the divine in each other, no matter what. Interdependence means that none of us is truly free until we are all free, and our thriving is bound up in the earth's thriving. None of us is truly free until we are all free. We struggle for liberation from the violence of white supremacy, of sexism, ableism, classism, and heterosexism. Our covenants here mean that we make promises to communities to honor love and injustice above all else. We make promises to each other to honor love and justice above all else. So bring all that you are. Everything you think and you feel, you experience in your body and your spirit, so that together we have a chance to engage and to love and to transform. This month, we have been recognizing the leadership of individuals here in our congregation. We have spoken the names and recognized 6 people so far, and today we conclude with 3 more. Our nominating committee members will read their biographies, but you're going to hear more than just a single person's story of leadership. You'll hear our collective story of how our faith community blooms. And so let's listen in gratitude.
Chuck Tatum. Commitment and consistency help describe Chuck Tatum's leadership. He and his wife, Ann, have been members of MVUU for over 30 years. In 1992-93, Chuck served as president, thank you, of MVU board. Since then, he has served as VP and recently as board trustee. Through the years, Chuck has worked to ensure the financial soundness of MVUU. This includes serving as chair of the stewardship committee, an astounding 5 times. In addition, in 2005 and 2006, Chuck and Ann co-chaired the capital campaign for MVUU. Some of you are shaking your head, you remember that. Chuck's background as an educator at the University of Arizona has served MVUU well. Working with the minister and board here, Chuck established a public school partnership with Laguna and Hendricks Elementary School. They are Title I schools, as some of you know. MVUU, through our members, provided students gift cards at Christmas, as well as funds to buy much needed school supplies and backpacks, lots of backpacks. Over 20 members at MVUU helped landscape a school ground to make it safe and inviting. So all of you that I saw sweating out there on the playground that day, I hope you'll remember to stand up later in the service in support of Chuck. Finally, MVUU members also provide weekly tutoring even now for the students. Adult Education, led by Chuck, has provided information about Latino culture and the border narrative right here at MVUU. These classes brought in people from the inside, but also from the outside of the church. And as noted in the newsletter, he is planning another course here in January. So I'm going to take a moment to give a promo for that. If you have an opportunity, I encourage you to sign up for this class about Mexican and Mexican American in Tucson. It'll start in January, as I mentioned. I have taken his classes before. You'll find them engaging, informative, and they're free. And Chuck tells me he's going to have a table outside today if you would like to sign up for that or for any of the help for the elementary schools. Chuck's commitment has extended beyond MVUU. He helped found, along with Reverend Matthew and other UUs throughout Arizona, UU Jazz. That stands for Unitarian Universalist Justice for Arizona, a mouthful, hence UU Jazz. UU Jazz represents the collective social justice interest of us in Arizona. And it elevates our impact and our visibility in social justice. For over 30 years, through many endeavors, Chuck Tatum has demonstrated his commitment to Unitarian Universalism. Thank you, Chuck.
Good morning, everyone. Anne Bowling. Anne Bowling is a face that many of you may be familiar with, whether you're because you saw her running hospitality, starting at Cromwell, through our moves to Greenfield and Beautiful Savior, or maybe through her work through pastoral care, where through the pandemic, she helped deliver meals, flowers, made phone calls, and hand-wrote countless cards to members of the congregation. In doing this interview, I had known Anne before as that warm face at Beautiful Savior, behind the coffee and the refreshments, and I truly looked forward every Sunday to seeing you. But through meeting you, and on a more personal level and interviewing you, I also got to know her wicked sense of humor, and really appreciated that chance. Anne was introduced to Unitarian Universalism when, living in a 4-generation household, she decided to do something for herself and enrolled in a Wild Woman Weekend run through the local UU congregation at Rockford, Illinois. She, and later her husband Bob, started attending services as a way to have space away from the stresses of life. Anne credits their venture into UU as something that strengthened and deepened their connection. Anne and Bob retired to Tucson, Arizona to be closer to their daughter and grandchildren. They attended their first services during the summer of 2015, and a little over a year later, on October 2016, became members at MVUU. Anne was extensively involved at both Rockford UU and at MVUU, but for the sake of brevity, I'm only listing her work here at MVUU. Here at MVUU, she saw herself as the type of leader who was a connector, someone who reached out and cared for people, getting to know them and their experiences. She has been a board member as a trustee, led hospitality, was a member of pastoral care, Heart to Heart, Caring Hearts Circle, the auction group, poetry group, and a dance group with MVUU members. An example of her dedication was when, during our time at Greenfield, she would carry all the coffee and refreshments, including the water, back and forth every Sunday from her car and set it up and then back again. And so, Anne, thank you so much for all of your service. Your warmth and influence has been deeply felt and appreciated. Thank you.
Sherry Desmond May. Although we're focusing on Sherry and Contigo today, Sherry and her husband, Alan, have done other things in leadership here at MVUU, and I just want to acknowledge that. Sherry was inspired to start Contigo by heart-wrenching stories of immigrants running away from terror, political, and gang violence. Working with Reverend Sam, a plan for a social justice immigration ministry was developed. And in 2020, the MVUU board approved it and Contigo was born. It was designed to serve asylum seekers. Contigo means with you in Spanish. A young woman flees Russia with her husband after having reported banking irregularities. 2 young men, single men, flee gang-controlled Haiti. A young family from Haiti flees to the United States with their baby. When the woman is seriously injured on the journey, her husband, it's always hard for me, her husband carries his wife on his back and his baby on the front for miles through very dangerous territory. These are the stories from the first 7 guests of the Contigo program. Due to Contigo, these people now have jobs, housing, serious medical issues resolved, and are working toward asylum. Another 30 immigrants have been sponsored by Contigo, so that rather than languishing in detention, they are free on the outside to pursue their own asylum. The Contigo team has learned and accomplished a lot in just 3 years. It has grown to a group of about 15 volunteers. 7 are immigrants themselves with life experiences and sensitivity that has proved invaluable to the team. In addition, they have become a cohesive interfaith team. They're comprised of folks from UU, the Baha'i, Buddhist, Christian, and Jewish faiths. Sherry said of Contigo, the program changes lives, not only for our guests, but for us as well. Thank you, Sherry.
When new members join and we have a ceremony, we say, our church is more than a building, more than a minister. It is all of us. And we rely on all of us in our covenanted community for leaders like Chuck and Sherry and Ann. So I'd like to invite the 3 of you to come forward. Right here. Shoulder to shoulder. We didn't practice earlier, so this is their first time coming on. Yep, here, shoulder to shoulder, a little bit off. See, the center thing is this right here. Yeah, come a little bit more, right there, and go this way. Right there. Thank you. Yeah, quite an accomplishment. Their humor and their wisdom are actions that guide our congregation to blossom and to bloom into our higher aspirations. Individually, you've each given us a great deal. But as you know, leadership in our congregation is not the result of your impact alone, but the ripple that you have created out among these people, rolling through our members, our friends, our children, our guests, and together into the world. And with this in mind, I'm going to invite us all to join in the ritual. We've done it twice now, and so our guests, you just follow everybody else's cues. We've done it twice. I'm going to invite you to join me in a ritual of gratitude. Will all of those who have served with Chuck on committees and in projects rise in body or in spirit? Thank you. All of those who have served with Ann on committees and in projects rise in body or in spirit. Where all of those who served with Sherry on committees and in projects rise in body or in spirit. Will all of those of you who have felt the ripple and benefited from the work of the committees and projects that these individuals have led rise in body or in spirit? And will everyone else rise in body or spirit, please? Knowing that even if you are our guest for the first time today, you are feeling the ripple of the leadership out from these 3. And so as you are comfortable, I want to invite you to join hands or to touch elbows, or if that is too much in this era, then simply offer one hand to receive and one hand to give. Dear leaders, you have served us well, and for this we thank you. And that's your line. It's going to show up on the screen in just 1 second. Repeat it after me. For this we thank you.
For this we thank you.
Thank you. You have led steadily for years, and in time you have handed over the reins that you have carefully held and tended. And
for this we thank you.
You have attended dozens of endless meetings, written countless letters and emails, recruited so many volunteers, drafted untold articles, and warmly greeted a rainbow of faces. And you have brought a spirit of dedication, you have brought your love and a deep, abiding faith in the growing, evolving spiritual community that is this congregation. And you have helped us to devote ourselves to learning about the faith for all ages. You've embraced human diversity by welcoming individuals and families and their children, and you have joined in the larger community to promote love and justice and service to society. It's your turn.
That our lives have been and always will be richer for having served you. We are grateful to have served and grateful that others take on the roles and give their gifts as we have. For the opportunity to put on and take off these leadership hats, we thank you. For the opportunity to serve, we thank you.
To all of you here, those joining us remotely, you too have an opportunity to lead from your passion. May this litany serve as a reminder that we all have the ability and the obligation to say yes to service within our community, but also to say yes to stepping down after a time, even if it seems there is no one there to take your place. We trust that you will find your way to nurture your spirit and to serve your community. And for this, we thank you. Thank you. Hang on one second. Don't go anywhere just yet. Hang on. Hold on. You all, please be seated. Yeah, sorry about that. Wrong cue there. Wanted to give you. Thank you. I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join your voices together for the hymn, For All That Is Our Life. Please rise. The words will be projected.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to
As we come to the end of thanking 9 leaders this month, I must thank our nominating committee, Anne and Mary Nell and Summer. And I want to invite you to stand, if you will. This we did practice, or at least I warned them. Anne is back in the AV booth. If you have a chance, please rise just for a moment. Not only do they seek out leaders among us in their work, they offer our congregation leaders for our board of directors, endowment, and nominating committees, but they also ensure that you come to know who these leaders are. And then they name areas that we need to train the leaders and prepare them to give their passions here at MVUU. This month, you participated in their newest project, because if you didn't think that was enough or a lot, they have given gratitude to individuals for their leadership. They've selected the leaders, interviewed them, written up 250-word summaries, gotten photos, brought flowers, and so that all that they've learned and been inspired by the many unique passions, choices, and actions of our leaders are brought to life for us to express our gratitude. And for this, I thank you. And for the congregation, one last time, for this we thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm not certain if any of you know of the Reverend Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Seems like there's some out there. He was a German Lutheran, and his opposition to Hitler and resistance to the genocide of the Jews at the height of Nazi power brought him to be imprisoned and eventually murdered by the Gestapo. And though his Christian faith is not mine, I am deeply moved by Reverend Bonhoeffer's theology and his life. He believed and he lived that it is what people do, not what is written into Scripture, not what is established in doctrine, or even professed from a pulpit. It's what we do that's the truest expression of our faith. In April of 1943, and for a year and a half after that, he was arrested and held in Tegel prison before being moved to Flossenburg concentration camp, where he was executed. All the accounts of him during that time are that he lived into his faith among prisoners and among the guards. In the midst of what I consider an unimaginable situation, he led services. He pastored to those around him. And he wrote letters which were smuggled out and later collected into a book. And so we know that he had no illusions about where his life would end and no air of superiority about his journey. He just chose to live the faith that he wanted to be alive in the world. That's it. In one of his letters, he wrote, "In normal life, we hardly recognize how much more we receive than we give, and life cannot be rich without such gratitude. It is so easy to overestimate the importance of our own achievements compared to what we owe to the help of others." Now, to be clear, these are not the riches in an afterlife he's talking about. These riches of gratitude, thankfulness, and appreciation are for what we receive each and every day. At another time, he wrote, "Gratitude transforms the torment of memory of good things now gone into silent joy." Transforms things now gone into silent joy. One bears what was lovely in the past not as a thorn, but as a precious gift deep within, a hidden treasure of which one can always be certain. He wasn't pained by what had been taken from him, by the life that he didn't have. He remained grateful for all of the gifts, his family and of friends, of his faith, even his struggle against evil. Through gratitude, how he lived became the blossoming of joy. Again, in a situation I am just struggling to even imagine. Well aware that his life would end at the hands of Nazis, he maintained that gratitude enriched him because it was transformative, because it changes us, even in the most dire of circumstances. There are alarming echoes of what the Nazis stood for. Authoritarianism, fascism, evil, sounding in our world today. It's a dehumanizing rhetoric of insults, plans for concentration camps, even the hint of genocide. And it's all alive and well, right here in the United States and definitely abroad. At first, these are just words. But we're well aware that words grow into actions unless they are countered and unless they're stopped. In opposing and resisting, challenging the evil in our society and our world today, I pray that no one has to live through what Reverend Bonhoeffer did. I pray that none of us will endure that imprisonment unto death. But I do hope and dearly pray that we can live into his understanding, his example of transforming gratitude. With open hearts, we engage all that is our life. These are the words that you have chosen as the purpose of this congregation. Yes, with all the joy and the wonder and delight, but also with the tears and the terrors that we witness every single day. And with courage to love and to side with love together over hate and over violence, to be guided in our actions with empathy and care and compassion to the end conflicts, not out there, but here among us. If we can't do it, we have no right to say that they must. And to live so inspired in our gratitude for this faith, a living tradition, to make a journey of our lives, transforming our own hearts, and then daring boldly to transform the world. No one is outside the circle of love. No one is disposable. None of us are truly free until all of us are free. And we promise to one another to honor love and justice above all else. In our gratitude for all that we've received, may we choose now and in all of the days to come to engage and to love and to transform ourselves and our world in gratitude. In gratitude. Always in gratitude. Amen. Our closing song is "I Know This Rose Will Open," but we have some instructions about how we are going to sing this together.
Well, since the bulk of you refuse to resolutely not come to choir on Wednesday nights, lovely simple tune, I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know that rose will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. Now, the other fun part of this is it's a round. So we can't not do the round. So this is one group. This is another group. And this is the third group over here. We're going to start right here in the middle. George, where'd you get to? There you are. George, would you come up and lead this group over here? So I'm going to start with you guys right down the middle, and then Joel's group, and then George's group. Let's sing it all together one more time, and then we'll do twice more in round. So all together. I know this rose will open. I know my tears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. My people. I know this rose will open. I know my soul will burn away. I know my soul will burn away. I know this rose will open. One more time. I know this rose will open. This rose, I know my tears, I know my fear, I know my soul will burn away. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. We're not rehearsing this week because of Thanksgiving. We're doing it online. But next week, Wednesday evening, 6:30, right here. Love to see you all. Yeah.
Before we close, we have several announcements. The first, as you leave the sanctuary today, through these doors, remember there are two containers for you. One is a woven basket where we put our donations, and this month it's for Emerge Center Against Domestic Abuse. And the other bowl out there is for donations to the church to keep the lights on and the building running and all that stuff, staff paid. Also, Mesquite Madness. Thanks to all who participated last week. It was a success. We raised $13,293. Yay! We all owe our gratitude to the Mesquite Madness team. They led us to build community, share interests, and raise this amazing sum. When you pay, please indicate on your check that you are paying for Mesquite Madness, for those of you who bid on items. Today, after our service, you have the opportunity to meet our board members and talk with them. Board members Sally Wistrand and Just Collins will be at a table for 30 minutes after the service for you to discuss whatever you'd like to with them and learn opportunities with the church. Let's see what else. Oh, Thanksgiving. There's Thanksgiving potluck here on Thursday at 1 p.m.
You got it.
Yeah. Hobie, maybe you'd like to stand up. Hobie, contact Hobie for more information. Last year we had 50 people here.
Hi. Yeah, we are all set up for it. The rules of the game are we're going to come over at 1 o'clock and set up the tables and the groaning board. The groaning board is a Kentucky term for the table. We have about 20 items on there. We'll be providing ham and turkey and ask you to bring something for the potluck. We also ask you to come prepared as if you were going to a picnic. Bring your beverage, your silverware, your plates, and your donation, and also be prepared to clean up after the potluck and take home everything that you brought, because we don't have a kitchen that is good for cleaning up, including your leftovers. Look forward to seeing you then.
Also, there will be a table on the patio for Contigo and for school partnerships and for the arts and education program. Go to the table to learn more and to sign up. I think that's it for announcements, unless I'm forgetting something.
Sorry about that. Didn't know that was going to happen, so here we are.
I wanted to point out that Claudia Silverman and I will be sitting at a table to line up volunteers for Cup of Justice, our new coffee sales program, Fair Trade. Thank you.
Okay. Our Releasing the Flame today is A Power at Work in the Universe by Reverend Tom Shade. My friends, there is a power at work in the universe. It works through human hands, but it was not made by human hands. It is a creative, sustaining, and transforming power, and we can trust that power with our lives. It will sustain us whenever we take a stand on the side of love, whenever we take a stand for peace and justice, whenever we take a risk. Trust in that power. We are together held by that power.
For Postlude today, I have a piece that ties into the rose theme, sub-theme that's been weaving underneath. It's a piece by Duke Ellington called In a Mellow Tone. And before you go, what's that have to do with roses? Well, it's a contrafact, meaning it's a tune written on an old set of chord changes from an old song called Rose Room.